Hey guys, I'm going to show you some of the updates to the Dark Arts version 2.73a. So one of the first things you'll probably notice is down the bottom we have this new icon, and it's just linking to the poly tools. So one of the cool things about the poly tools, and so if I have this and I press transforms, delete the history, so I don't know how big this guy is, so I can just click refresh, and now there's going to be the bounding box information. So say if I wanted this to be, say 3 units wide, I can just get resize, and okay, 3 units wide there, and you can see that's just resizes it for us. And say if I just want it to be too deep, resize. So real handy just for getting this to the correct size. One of the other features that's really handy is if I have, say, these two edges here selected, and refresh, and say I'm just wanting the width to be, say, 1.5. So let's click refresh, and you can see it's now being resized to 1.5. But when it's done the scaling, it's actually scaled towards the object's pivot point. So if I don't want that, I can just click center, and that'll just center based on the selection. So now if I click on resize, you can see how that just pulls it to the middle, which is obviously quite handy. The other way that you can use it is just using the manipulator as you pivot. So I can just do that there, and if I click resize now, you can see how that just resizes. So it's a really handy way of just modelling really nice and accurately. One of the other really handy tools, there's a full tutorial of this, the poly tools, up on the Dark Arts channel on YouTube, so you can check that out. So say if I've got this object here and I'm just wanting to add some cuts to it, so say if I'm wanting to add 0.1, maybe 0.5, 0.5. So as soon as I press enter, whatever's in this list, you'll get to see the complete sum right over here. So say if I'm just wanting to do a cut on the left hand side, so I'm just going to cut selected object. Oops. You can see how we get a couple of cuts in there, and if I select that and refresh, you can see how that's 0.1 units, and this here will be 0.5. So real nice way of just a bit of accurate modelling. So if I say if I wanted to do that on the other side, I can do that. And I'm just going to stretch this guy out just that way. And if I go reverse here and go cut, you can see how it does it on the other side. And if I get on my Y, go cut, you can see it does it up there. Take the reverse off, put it down the bottom. So really nice fast way of just rolling up an object, and you can obviously add as many cuts to the list as you'd like. So yeah, quite a really handy modelling tool. Okay, so and one of the other ways that you can use it is if I just go, let's undo that. I can actually add like an angle to it. So say if I add 30 degrees and go cut, you can see how it's doing a cut across that way. Or I can actually, if I go negative, and get cut again, you can see how you're getting a 30-degree cut going across it. So real handy way of just rolling up an object. Okay, one of the other little features that's in it that I'm surprised isn't just an actual tool inside of Maya. It's just the ability to move components by a set amount. So and usually you have to use Mal or something just to do that nice and easily. But just in the Dark Arts poly tools, you can now select some components and quickly move them to wherever you want them to go. So nice way of modelling. Okay, so that's the poly tools. One of the other cool things, so one of the other tools that have been updated is just the audio pipe tool. So say if I create just a quick Bezier curve, like so. Yeah, let's pull that in a bit so get something that looks a bit cooler. Over, and move it down. Okay, so say I've got some random object, like so. Maybe not the flashes thing, but so if I just go to the modelling and the auto pipe tool, and so in the past you've just grab this guy and just go execute, and you get it's a nice quick pipe, so nice and handy. So now you've also got the ability to load like an alternative curve, so it doesn't have to be a circle anymore. So if I it's going to it's my modeling tools and it's into the Bezier curve. Okay, so I'm just going to click over here. Oops. And click there. There. Here. There. And then, oops. Actually, I might just go straight edge. So we've got something random like this. And so scale it down a bit. Freeze those transforms. So I can now like load an actual curve. And if I just select that, click this guy and go execute, you now see that it's taking on that shape, which is obviously quite cool. So we can obviously up our divisions. And yeah, it's nice fast way of just modeling irregular shapes and that go along a curve. Yeah, of course we can, like if I undo do that. And I will put on animation, so I'll go execute curve. Let's try to use divisions bits. We can actually just animate that length. So that's obviously one of the handy tools using the auto pipe. And you can still obviously taper. Oops. And twist the object. Okay, so that's just one of the little updates. Okay, so one of the other new little buttons we've got on the Dark Arts is this little one here. Basically what that goes for, and I'll select history, freeze transforms, and ground snap that guy. Okay, so if I enter a name in here, like so, basically this allows me to take whatever's in here, say that's super sphere, and just rename this object here. So rename that, and I'm just going to create a Mila shader. You can see how that Mila shader obviously gets named after the object that we've got selected, or whatever's inside the Dark Arts. So one of the nice things with 2016 is that actual Viewport 2.0 supports, there's a few viewport connections now, so you can actually get some nice visual feedback, which is really nice. And it also means that it sort of saves on having to have all these extra nodes that we've had in the past, and just the fact that we can use the color management, obviously it's quite handy. Okay, so from here, so if I add just a weighted layer, and I'm going to put a glossy transmission, just so we've got some transparency in there. And one of the things you'll notice is that we're not getting any feedback in the viewports, and that's one of the issues with the Mila shader. That they've got sort of connections that can connect up to the viewport, but it just hasn't been implemented as well as I'd like. So you can actually click the update button, and they'll just ask you if you want to create a directory for the fast texture, and I'm going to say yes in this case. And you can see as soon as we click the update button, our object disappears, and basically it's now being reconnected to the glossy transmission, just so you can actually get that feedback that you're after. So you can still obviously have your coloured object. So if I have that red, you can see we're getting a bit of viewport feedback. So obviously quite handy. So now I'm just going to add just another layer in there, and we're just going to add a glossy reflection. And you can see once again things have messed up and we're not actually getting any feedback, so obviously a bit of a pain. But with the shader selected, we can click update again, and now we're getting our feedback. So obviously quite handy. You can kind of see the roughness, you can see our transparency, and we're also getting the diffuse color coming through. So the update button does that, and it also updates just a little text file for the fast texture. So every time you add just a new layer, just remember to click the update button, especially if you're going to use the fast texturing part of it. Okay, so I'm going to load up the fast texturing, and you can see we're up to version 1.13, and this has been updated just to give better support for 2016 and the color management. So with this object here selected, I'm just going to click Export UVs. So that'll take us into Photoshop, and then pressing F2, I'm just going to run our Mila little plugin. So that's going to run through, just creating all our nodes that we've got back in Maya. So you can see our diffuse, the glossy transmission, and the glossy reflection. So one of the things that I have fixed up inside of this version is, if I press F2, the get selected edges now is fully functional. So if I click on, say, an edge over here, say these guys, so you can either select faces or edges, and if I go back into Photoshop, I can either choose close path, or I can get selected edges. And what you'll notice is that it quickly, oops, if I press escape, it quickly creates that selection. So if I delete that off, and I run it one more time, oops, run it one more time, and click on close path and get selected edges, you can see how getting those edges and the paths all close. It's obviously quite a handy feature. I'm just going to go to my fuse channel, just make that black, and add another layer in there. Oops. And maybe just add some sort of gradients. Like so. Maybe let's give it a nice pink. Okay, so it's running the gradients. Okay, and then let's press F2, click Save Layers, and it's going to take us back to Maya. You can see we've got that Maya button selected and save the PSD. So it's going to save that all out for us. Obviously nice and handy. And it's going to texturing mode, and you can see that there's those faces that we had selected. Faces, you can see those have all been nicely textured for us, and we're getting nice feedback, which is obviously quite handy. And yeah, we're pretty much ready to do whatever the texturing we need to do. And once again, still clicking this will take you to your Photoshop directory. So you can see our PSD, you can see our taggers, and you can see the little text file that tells us what's inside our shading network. So yeah, that's the fast texture updated. So there's a few other updates that I'll probably show in a future tutorial, but this should hopefully get you underway. Okay, see you guys.